A live action mode? What does that mean? For over 100 years, Disney had created many wonderful movies back in its golden ages, creating beloved classics like Pinocchio, Peter Pan, and Cinderella, to its Renaissance films like Hercules, Tarzan, and Mulan. Hell, might as well throw in the experimental era like Lilo and Stitch, Treasure Planet, and Meet the Robinsons.
Bake them cookies, Lucille!
But we cannot forget the film that started it all, the one that put Disney on the map, Snow White. Here's a SparkNote version of the original movie so you get the baseline of what we are comparing it to. Snow White was released in 1937, retelling an old fairy tale story about a young princess named Snow White. The evil queen is jealous of our heroine because she is prettier than her, so she sends a hitman to kill her in the woods. However, Snow White is so pure, the hitman doesn't have the heart to kill her and tells her to escape. After her escape, she stumbles across these 7 little men and agrees to stay with them as their housekeeper. The queen realizes that she has been duped and disguised herself as an ugly old hag and tricks Snow White into eating a magic poison apple. The 7 dwarves rush back and chase the evil queen to a cliff where she accidentally off herself with a big rock. Prince appeared and kissed her lifeless body like a freak he is, and lifted the curse with true love's kiss, and both lived happily ever after. The story is very simple, of course, but I have a few complaints. Why a magic potion? I'm pretty sure regular poison would do just fine. Lace it with cyanide and you get the better results. Or better yet, the old-fashioned way. The original fairy tale is different from the movie. For example, the poison apple was attempt number 4. The huntsman was the first attempt. And the other 2 is when Snow White is tricked by the queen with various magic items such as the magic poison comb and suffocating her with a lace dress. And the dwarves? They're just referred to as dwarves. They don't have names or personality like their movie counterparts. And they keep on saving her and keep telling her to stop letting strangers enter their home. And like the naive girl she is, she let the queen in for the 3rd time and ate the poison apple. The poison apple, I don't think it's actually poison. The original story says that the piece is lodged into her throat, so she pretty much choked on the apple. And she does not get revived from love's first kiss either. That's just some bullshit reason Disney made up. The prince wanted to bring her corpse to the kingdom and admire her beauty. What? Man, both of these princes are freaks. On her journey back, a bump on the road was able to dislodge the apple from her throat and awoke her slumber. As for the queen, yeah, they punished her by making her dance on hot iron slippers until she dropped dead. You can see why they changed the original story. What's so special about the 1937 Snow White film is that it revolutionized how animated films are made. This is the first feature-length animated film ever made, a major influence in the animation industry at the time. You don't understand, cartoons before that were simply used for advertisement or short film previews. Such advertisements ranges from like sodas to tobacco products, and some private viewings even include animated porn. People never change. Sure, the movie's old and a bit outdated. It could be enjoyed by anyone regardless of the time period. But when there's a golden age, there's also the dark age. And the dark age is when Disney tries to do live action movies of their beloved classics. I mean, they have done it in the past, but it wasn't as bloated or oversaturated as we have today. However, with the box office success of the live-action Beauty and the Beast, Disney pumped all their old property with drastic modern changes. With major changes to the storyline or adding Will Smith as a genie, a lot of these live-action movies are either soulless, botched, or just downright fucking terrible. You know where this is going. Eventually, the mouse put its greedy hands on the Snow White and adapted it to the big screen. Unlike most live-action slop, this is okay? I gotta be honest here, I wrote a pre-script before watching this movie because I thought I was gonna hate the Snow White movie. Getting a kick out of it, you know? I was prepared to beat on this dead horse saying how this is the most god-awful movie I've ever seen. But after watching the film, I thought it was okay. Like, there's nothing atrocious that makes me scream to the heavens above me. Don't get me wrong, it's a big cliche and some awkward moments here and there.
You must have mistaken me for a knight in shining armor.
I don't think anyone's making that mistake.
but I would never say it's a bad film. It's like your standard mediocre Disney live action movie. I mean, I guess you could say it's on par with the live action Aladdin movie. I'm not sure that's a compliment, but it's the most generous comparison I can give. Other than that, there's nothing really to say about the movie. Like, what happened? What's going on? Why do people put so much hate into this movie? Well, we have to start from the beginning, starting with our director, Mark Wen. In the beginning of his career, he was actually a music video director, directing over 100 songs, including bands and vocals such as Green Day, My Chemical Romance, and Miley Cyrus, before her rebranding. He doesn't really dip his toes in producing movies and shows until he made a critically acclaimed romantic comedy, 500 Days of Summer.
Ooh. Anal girl. I was very neat and organized.
No, I gotta be honest with you. Who watched that movie? Because I never heard this movie existed until doing my research on this topic. Kinda odd given his portfolio, but he succeeded. And he created more projects like the Andrew Garfield Amazing Spider-Man and directed other one-off episodes from popular TV series such as The Office and Limitless. With a solid portfolio, Disney gave him the big task of directing this ambitious movie. Of course, there are other people since the director is only one cog in the machine, but I am too lazy to look up their contributions. Mark Wen was drawn to the opportunity to reimagine the iconic character through a modern, empowering lens while focusing on themes of kindness and bravery, which you can see throughout the movie. His interpretation of Snow White left many people not like this version of the movie because it is not faithful, which is a valid criticism, but I don't fully agree on that. The original movie is kind of dated, not like they say any slurs or racial depiction of ethnic minority groups, just that the story is basic. If that movie was translated one-to-one, it would have been a boring movie, uninspired, one-dimensional, whatever adjectives you want to throw at it. It makes sense why Wen would spice it up a bit, especially with characterizing our beloved Snow White. I like Snow White as a character and... Okay, look. I am one of those people that don't really like it when people drastically redesign existing characters. I would let it slide as long as the character is written well and likable, and it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. Are we cool? Alright. Anyways, I like this version of Snow White. This Snow White gets fleshed out better than her classic counterpart. In the beginning of the movie, when her evil stepmother took over, she started off as a helpless princess. However, despite her unfortunate circumstances, she expressed kindness, generosity, sweetness, and is very forgiving. She never expressed hate or any ill will against anyone, especially the evil stepmother and her lackeys. In fact, her kindness can be a weakness as well. With innocence comes naivety. Her kindness almost got herself killed a few times throughout the movie, putting trust in people she shouldn't trust, like the hunter where he was tasked to kill her in the woods, but her kindness moved the hunter where he is unable to kill such a sweet soul. Go! When people on the internet says that she is a revolutionary in the movie, I was a little worried. When I think of a revolutionary, my mind would immediately think that she would be some sort of girl boss fighter and do some rebellious type shit. There's nothing like that here, but there is a clear character arc of her learning to be brave, having courage, and becoming a leader her people need.
Where's my yacht?
It's actually inspiring, and I really enjoy this character in the movie. I wish I could say the same for the rest of the cast.
What time is it?
It's time to dance! Yeah!
Okay, other than Snow White and the Evil Queen, I don't really care about anyone else. Do you guys remember the leaked photo on Reddit back in 2023 showing these people as the new dwarves instead of the actual dwarves? People calling them the 7 magical Wook Stooges and such? Yeah, that is misinformation. Yes, they are in the movie, but they are not replacing the dwarves. They are the 7 bandit crew led by their leader, Jonathan.
My name's Jonathan, Princess. Not Jonathan, Princess. Just Jonathan.
And no, there were no rewrites or script changes. The leaked photo was just posted without context, and the audience take it out of proportion, assuming that they are the new dwarves. I'm kind of disappointed that Disney didn't clear up any misinformation sooner to let people know that they are not replacing the dwarves. Were they a good inclusion? Absolutely not. I don't remember any of their names, nor do I care because they are not as important or memorable as the dwarves. Except for Quig. I like him.
I am the rebel Quig, master of the crossbow.
Other than Quig, the other bandits are nothing more than just filler, or at the very least a failed attempt on a foil of the 7 dwarves. As for the 7 dwarves, they are replaced by... Oh I mean, you know... Okay. Why the CGI dwarves? Well, Disney intended to use CGI dwarves from the very beginning because they want to avoid any harmful stereotypes or any caricatures making them look magical and whatnot. But this is so woke that this is actually offensive. Like, I know what the goal is. It is with good intent. But Disney not representing the people with actual dwarfism is just baffling. At least in the other Snow White movie, they actually used dwarf actors.
You first. I know.
Which is confusing because the movie has several actors with dwarfism in this movie, but making the 7 dwarves with actual actors is just distasteful. I know that some people would like to point out that Peter Dinklage told Disney to not use dwarf actors to play as the dwarves in the live-action Snow White film for being, I quote, fucking backwards story. You know, it's a harsh stereotype and such. And yeah, he may be right, but I cannot find any evidence that Disney took his advice, only stating, to avoid reinforcing stereotypes from the original animated film, we are taking a different approach with these 7 characters and had been consulting with members of the dwarfism community. So they didn't directly say that Dinklage told them to change it, but I cannot deny that his comment probably does influence them to make this decision.
If I had Game of Thrones money, dink, then maybe I would be, talking out about these roles too, but I don't.
And for what I have gathered, they plan to use CGI dwarves from the start to avoid any type of controversy. Kinda ironic, don't you think?
Oh, guys! Let's all just try to be friends!
The CGI doesn't really blend well either. Like, they tried to make them as realistic as possible, but they look so cartoony, and it just got this uncanny vibe. Hell, Dopey's model looks like Dewey.
Life is unfair.
I mean, they are okay, but I have no idea how they have less personality than their classic counterparts, except when they made Dopey talk.
We're not afraid.
I was taken aback by that. Other than that, they didn't really do anything in this movie, except hiding Snow White in their house, Doc patching up Jonathan with his shoulder wound.
Doc is more of a sobriquet rather than a technical title, as my true expertise lies in the study of igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic granules. Rocks.
Side note, this bothered me because there are no obvious patches on his arm, so I'll be staring at the bloody hole throughout the entire scene. Even when the movie shows the romance side between him and Snow White, I couldn't divert my eyes from the hole. Back on topic. At the end of the movie, the dwarves didn't do anything at all either. All they did was break into the castle, and that's it.
He's just standing there, menacingly.
No fighting, no dropping down the drawbridge, no chasing the queen, nothing. Next, we have Jonathan, and he is a thief. I have no idea how he broke into the castle. What terrible security you hired, queen. But he unsuccessfully tried to steal potatoes. Jonathan was caught but freed by our beloved princess. He became a love interest in the movie instead of a prince from the original. Some people may not like that, but it's not like you can shoehorn a prince without any story blunders. So making Jonathan a thief is like the next logical choice. He is a terrible thief though. He gets caught like 3 times in this movie. Though I thought they would use the huntsman as a love interest like the other movie did, but oh well, can't win them all. But he is also pretty bad as a hero too. He tries to be a diversion, but Snow White ends up helping him. He quickly gets caught by the guards and gets the necklace stolen that was given to him literally 2 minutes ago.
Take it for luck.
The only contribution he provided to the movie is exposition of Snow White and revive her with a kiss. I guess he did help Snow White overthrow the Queen's regime though. Speaking of the Queen, I really like this interpretation of the Evil Queen as well. She was able to be fleshed out, and my golly, she is. The Evil Queen is cold-hearted, malicious, and narcissistic. She would go to the mirror every day asking him who's the fairest of them all. The mirror will always say her until one day it didn't. Mirror said, yeah, Snow White is more fair. This made the Evil Queen jealous and offered a great reward to the huntsman to kill Snow White. Of course, that failed. Turned herself into an old hag and poisoned her until that didn't work either, and finally got defeated. We get to see the snake that she is. Manipulated Snow White's dad, tricked him into leaving the castle and killed him in the back alley somewhere. Snow White never knew, and it's a crazy reveal. I mean, I kind of knew it in the beginning of the movie, but never really thought he actually died. When I think about it, even though the Queen has access to dark magic and alchemy, she doesn't really utilize them. Like, why does she not kill Snow White? Why doesn't she just off the princess herself? It's established in the beginning of the movie that the people thought Snow White is gone, so what's stopping her then? She could have easily taken her out and murked anyone else that opposed her idea. Even her Disney classic counterpart doesn't really utilize her alchemy skills either, so this could have been a great opportunity of showing how powerful she can be. Like, why go to the mirror and ask who is the fairest of them all instead of using your dark magic to off Snow White on the spot? I also don't like how she is defeated either. No, she wasn't crushed by a big rock, but the mirror sucked her into the void to a mirror dimension. Now that is more traumatic than the original, which I actually like, but that's not what I mean. What I mean is how she got defeated, and it's by the power of friendship. Yeah, what a wasted potential of the villain. Then again, it would be one-sided, and the story would have to resolve itself with even more of a bullshit reason to defeat her, like in Wish. So I can see why Mark Wayne would intentionally nerf her. The movie is somewhat faithful to the original film if you squint at it, reimagining it in a way that doesn't necessarily stray from the source material. Yeah, there might be aspects you may not agree with it, but I'll be lying when I said this is the worst slop Disney ever produced. It isn't. There are no major rewrites, the CGI is its own can of worms, and there are many questionable decisions that are just off-putting for some people. The set looks cheap, as if this is a high-quality high school play. You have to admit, no matter how big the budget is, the costume and set design looks pretty ass. Snow White's dress looks like it's from Spirit Halloween. Haters would talk a lot of bull, even when they don't even consume the media. And they would sing the same song and dance of how this is the worst movie they have ever seen, and then continue on with their lives. You know, I would have bet that the movie would have profited or at least broke even, despite how mediocre or bad it is, if Rachel Zegler just shut the fuck up. Might as well address the elephant in the room. The reason why I didn't talk about her until now is because I wanted to review the movie for what it was. I already established my opinion. The film ain't gonna win any awards. From all the shit that movie is getting, Rachel Zegler is the only person who's getting the brunt of all the hate. An actor holds a lot of influence and can determine the success of the movie. Funny enough, Zegler was going to be the next big actor of our generation. She was given a Golden Globe Award for Best Actress in 2021 for her performance in West Side Story. She is a great singer, a talented actress, and getting into many projects, she might as well have been the next A-list celebrity. That's why Disney purposely cast her and promote diversity.
What in the hell's diversity?
I was honestly surprised because, dare I say, she is the best performer in the movie. But ever since Snow White debuted, her career nosedived harder than Concord. She has been relegated to a few minor roles on Broadway and nothing more. What happened? Well, the moments leading up to the movie happened. I'm not gonna go too deep into this. I'm not that type of VUIC VTuber yet. In short, Zegler openly disrespects the original movie, like how there isn't going to be a love story.
On her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Yeah. Weird. Super weird. So we didn't do that this time.
Disrespects her co-stars such as Gal Gadot, who is an Israeli, and said that she supports Palestine. Yikes. And she participated in the SAG-AFTRA strike and came across as tone deaf when she put herself in the spotlight, saying that she deserved better pay. It's so jarring seeing her excellent performance in the movie, knowing the dumb shit that she has done for the past few years. It's also ironic that Snow White's whole shtick is that she is a kind person. Zegler come off as abrasive. She is arrogant and virtual signaling in many interviews and tweets that she posted, making her insufferable. Her miscasting would have been the worst thing about her, but she wouldn't stop speaking her mind out. You know the saying, any PR is good PR? Well, I don't think this applies here. It was a PR nightmare for Disney, and they reportedly lost $170 million. Not as bad as John Carter, but worse than fucking Mars Needs Moms. Mars Needs Moms.
Oh my gosh! Oh!
Whether or not she caused that, Zegler became a liability for any company that wanted to work with her, effectively blacklisted herself from performing in any other movie. And it's not like Zegler made this movie and all of its dumb decisions, but because she was the face of the project and has a mountain of controversy surrounding her, she became an easy scapegoat, potentially ruining her career. Right now, Zegler has mellowed out, but the damage is already done. Even to this day, I still come across videos on YouTube about the blunders of Snow White with her face in every thumbnail. She indeed humbled herself, but I do feel bad for her. Zegler was going to be the next big thing. She could have rivaled other A-listers, but her hubris got the best of her. She flew too close to the sun and paid the price for it. Hopefully in the future, she would get a comeback and build back her reputation. However, if the audience will only remember Zegler for being a little brat that ruined the beloved Snow White, I don't know if her career will ever recover. All in all, with a mediocre script, bad PR, and people already loathing live-action movies, this movie was doomed to fail.
Someone had to solve your princess problem.
From all the live-action nonsense I've seen, this isn't the worst one. No, I do not count Alice in Wonderland. Disney should have known what they were getting into when they signed on Tim Burton. Look, I'm not saying this movie is a masterpiece. It is not a good movie, but I do not say it's terrible either. I have no intentions of watching it again, but I enjoyed it. I mean, you are hearing the opinion of a shit video essay VTuber. What do you expect? I would say it's too overhated. As much as we do not like a lot of the live action movies, it doesn't really matter what we say here. They're going to release more and botch them too. But for every dark age, the golden age will once again glimmer over the horizon. And maybe in the next few years, we will see, who am I kidding? We will still continue eating the slop like the poor suckers we are.